Welcome everybody to the next episode of Just Do It. This is a channel all about run, bike, run, in case you don't already know. And it's focusing on minimising the effects of age, because I'm an old person, getting older. So obviously lifetime PBs, long time past. So I'm looking at how to minimise the decline due to age. Okay, that's got that out of the way. What have we looked at recently? We've focused on key sessions within a 9-day training cycle, and we've covered things like strength and conditioning, specific bike run endurance sessions, because that's what stage we're at in the plan at the moment. And we've also covered an element of strides, drills, downhill specific session. What are we going to look at on this channel? Yep, it's mobility and activation time. Okay, let's go. So yes, that's me. Now I've been oiled a bit, not quite as creaky, and I move through to some further stretches, trying to keep the posture here. And it's all about the hips for me, because I've been identified that I do have some tight hips and misalignment slightly higher on one side than the other. So as well as loosening up for running, I find these just make me more comfortable all round. And as I said, I'm trying to keep the posture up here. And then we move into, again, keeping the posture high, trying to bend at the waist here to get that stretch through the glutes and also down through the hips as well. A few extra sort of pops and tweaks that go on when I do this, which is good. And I do feel a lot looser, and you can gradually hold that stretch. I'm just doing demonstrations here. I will hold that normally for maybe 25-30 seconds and gradually lean into it while keeping that posture. And then switch sides and do the same again. Next exercise, go into a reverse glute bridge. And I like doing these with single legs. I just find I don't get any engagement by doing two legs together. So really focus here as we move up here in this shot, my left leg, focus on the glute tensing up. And by pulling up with the right leg there, keeping it rigid through the core and the abs, just gives me that focus and just makes it a bit more dynamic all round. So it's really good keeping tight across the whole of the core, whole of the body as we do this. And switch sides for the same, to get the equal effect. Normally do 10 to 12 of these. And it's good to do these slower, by the way. As I said, these are for demos, and probably doing them a bit faster than I would normally, just to get that isolation within the glute. Next exercise, again, lying flat on your back. This is for that hip glute area, which I'm focusing on with these activations. Note on this one, normally I would put a towel where my hands are here and lie flat on my back. I just haven't got the flexibility in my lower back at the moment to do this, so it's probably not the best way to demonstrate it. But as you can see on this shot, my right leg, I'll be pushing to try it, and then release, and then pull with the other where the hands are to get more of a stretch. Switch sides, do the same again. And I really like this exercise, prescribed for me specifically by one of the great club physios within Newcastle Tri Club. Next exercise, working on the hip flexors here in a bit more of a dynamic way, keeping tight across the core, and there's a bit of balance in here as well. And once we've done that, we move to more balance work, but getting more of a stretch on the thigh, keeping the pelvis thrust forward for the hip flexors as well, and then move the hand round, keep the balance and get more of a thigh stretch. And we do the same, repeat on the other side. But before we do that, almost forgot, we do this kind of rocking element for the hips and glutes, and moving backwards and forwards for some glute and thigh, hamstring as well, which I find just loosens everything off, and the twists across the thoracic region there are quite, opens up the chest, opens up the hips a bit more, and just rocking around. This one here, from my glute sort of hip area, I really like this, and the backwards and forwards as you're stretching the thighs on the other side. And like I said, generally I'll do that for quite a longer set. And that completes that activation routine, just repeating the same on the other side. So I've not gone through that again, won't put you through it. Just to finish off this mobility and activation type exercise here, I just want to touch on one final one of we see different environment. I'm outside the garage, so that the floor isn't quite level, but this kind of hip rotation, stretch, balance one leg is what I do before each run, even if it's just a couple of minutes. It's my go-to basically, and this is just me and what I do. So, key session today, strength and conditioning. And if you missed the last episode, where I recorded that I'm bringing in, instead of running to the gym as a warm-up, I'm using the treadmill to bring in some key specific running strength. There's a precursor to full-blown VO2 max type hill sessions. So this is very technique based, but also bringing in some strength specific, and this is done for about 20 minutes for the main strength and conditioning session in the gym itself with the weights. I explained this last time, and looking back at the session that I tried to describe, it looks a bit complicated, so I thought, well, I'll just do a clip as I do it, and maybe it'll be a bit clearer. So warming up, just about 5 minutes per K, and got the incline on 1 here, which is what I normally use for any running on a treadmill. So 1 minute sets, and it's coming up to, I'll give it another 30 seconds. So 1 minute set will start, and I'll increase the incline just by 1% and just do 20 seconds, and then take a 10-second reset break where I'll go down back to 1% on the incline and increase the speed 0.2. It'll become clear, I'm sure. So here we go. Increase the incline by 1%, just for 20 seconds. Key technique here is fast feet, shorter stride. So try and keep light on the toes, shorter stride. So that's 20 seconds. Quick jump off, up the speed by 2, back down to 1% on the incline, and then ready. 20 seconds on the flat. And it feels nice and easy because even though you've increased it slightly, the speed, you've actually just kind of on the flat feels okay. So that 10 seconds goes quickly. I've just upped the incline by another 2%, so I'm 3% now. 20 seconds. So you feel that a bit more this time. Goes quickly. And then you quickly go back to 1, increase the speed by 2, 10 seconds, and you're back on the flat. Hang on a minute. Is anybody else confused? Morning. So here we are again in my happy place, sitting on the Zwift setup, and it's another recovery ride. Yeah, as I mentioned, this whole channel is all about how to minimise the decline of fitness and speed because of age, and that just means a lot of recovery rides, but I quite enjoy it in here, so I'm not complaining. So that last cut off on the treadmill session, was a repeat of what I tried to describe on the previous episode, and I actually did have a lot longer clip, but I cut it short because I think the more I tried to explain it, the more complicated it seems. So you get the idea. I really rate that session, and I'm looking forward to building on that session to get more specifics as it gets harder, at faster speeds, and then transitioning into proper on the road hill sessions, which I quite enjoy and are hard, but I like the hard training. So yeah, again, I'm not complaining. I look forward to that, but I didn't want to elongate that whole clip, so I just cut it short. And now we're on Saturday, recovering still from Thursday's gym session that went well again. Increased some weights and rotated the exercises. So all well and good with the strength training, especially the squats. I mean, I'll be up to probably near body weight. No idea what my body weight is, but I think I'll be around body weight, and certainly above body weight on deadlifts, which is all about the sort of strength to weight, and that's what factors into cycling and running, strength to weight rather than the weight itself. So yeah, happy with that progress. Tomorrow will be another strength endurance bike run. Hey, that pace is overtaking me again. Yeah, tomorrow's session, get back on track, but I need to be mindful. I've had a little blip in my calf, which is only can be described as a bit of a knot that's developed into something maybe a bit more. And I think the reason for developing that is being too busy to stay hydrated, and that's a real thing. As soon as you become dehydrated, you're increasing the risk of injury. You're trying to ask the muscles to work sub-optimised, and I think that's what created a little bit of knot in the calves. The calves take a beating when running, and even though I've not been doing massive amounts of run volume, I have been doing the technical kind of up on my toes a bit, the strides, the drills, on the treadmill, higher knee lift. So they have been stressed, and I think, yeah, I've got to be wary of that. So I actually bought one of these massage guns and had a go at that knot last night. Probably went overboard, to be honest, because it felt like somebody had kicked me in the calf afterwards, and I was actually, you know, struggling, walking around, and could really feel it. It's a bit better this morning, so I've been stretching it. So I've got to be careful with that massage gun. Could be a real torture instrument and be detrimental to the effect that I actually want from it. But overall, I think it's going to be a really good addition to the prehab that I want to do, not the rehab. I don't want to visit rehab. I'll stay in prehab, thank you very much. So this morning I'm just doing this easy spin. It feels okay, the calf, but I've got to be careful tomorrow if I'm doing that session. So I don't want to stress it at this stage of the game. If I've got a niggle, yeah, I can take a few days off running with no impact on the long plan. So don't want to go down that road. I'll just want to be really, really careful. If I've got a niggle, let's get rid of it now. I've got loads of time to be in shape come March. But what I don't want to do is push through it now, get injured in December, struggle to get back to running in January, and before I know it, I'm not going to be able to get into the shape I want to be for March. So what I'm saying is, let's be wise. So tomorrow we'll see how it goes. I don't want to repeat the filming of that session again. I think I've had two sort of visits to that session, so I don't want to be too repetitive in these vlogs, but you've got to be mindful that at this stage of the plan you're building up sort of the base, the ground level that you need to build on, so it is a bit repetitive and therefore potentially a bit kind of boring if you just want to produce the same content all the time in these clips. I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to probably close off this release of this episode after this little monologue that I'm doing now, just to kind of keep it sort of as interesting as possible, and I can always recap on how the run went on the the bike run session went on the subsequent release. So I will close it off now. I just want to visit on one kind of aspect though, and I caught sight of on the news, on the sort of a media flow that I get on running and stuff like that. There was a bit of a focus on Tom McKean. Anybody remember Tom McKean from the late 80s, beginning 90s? He still holds a Scottish 800 metre record, 1:43.88 I think it was. It just brought back some memories, so I had a memory moment. Memory moment. And I won a competition in Athletics Weekly in the early 90s when I was having one of my run comebacks, and I got to go and train with Tom McKean in Glasgow and win some New Balance gear and stuff like that. I only won the competition by saying how I needed the help to run faster. I didn't actually do any running to win it, the competition. But anyway, got to run with Tom McKean in Glasgow, and we did a track session with him. Well, not really with him, he was on the same track, I was nowhere near him, but it did illustrate the way he trained. All we did was, I think the session was 5 or 6 500 metre reps, which is an odd distance, but his training was a bit unconventional, as I found out. He did a lot of strength work, we like that, but his track sessions, his interval work, was basically race pace or faster with huge recoveries. So that was it. Obviously he probably phased that depending on what stage of training he was at. So our 500 metre reps were like 10-minute standing jog, whatever you want to do, stretch recoveries, but you went flat out on every single effort. And although it was a long time ago, I do kind of blurrily remember the session and feeling absolutely wasted, churning out probably 74 second 500 metre reps. So that you probably, you would be looking at sub 60 400 pace. For me, that was quite fast. I was a guy who was close to breaking 2 minutes for 800, and obviously him being a 1:43 800 metre man, never saw him. But it just brought back some memories. I had a bit of a memory moment, and I think that's important for us older guys, is to, we've done all this stuff, it's good fun to look back on it, and use it to feed the training that we do now and the goals that we have now, to think, flipping heck, that was great, let's create some more great moments. Just because we're a bit more mature than we were, we can still have these moments, we can still have these achievements, and that's what it brought home to me. So I might start including some more memory moments, and I've got quite a few, because not far away from 60 now. You've built up those memories and those moments. I've always done sport ever since I was a wee toddler, I guess. Most of it incorporating some sort of running, with a big phase of pure strength training. Because of injury, I just got sucked into that. Hey, there's another memory moment to bring to this channel. So there we are. Let's close it off, this episode. great to have you on board. Got a couple of extra subscribers. Welcome. Yeah, it just feels great to be reaching out to the community and people looking in and maybe getting some ideas to train, or just having a laugh at what we do together in the multi-sport environment. So yeah, happy days. Remember, keep running, keep biking, keep running. See you soon.